This is Will Smith from Artificial Brain.
This is Morgan Weller from Lestravi.
This is Scott from Foricus.
This is Nora from Battle Beast.
This is Jarvis Leatherby from the band Night Demon. You're listening to the Great Metal Debate Podcast. Keep it heavy.
The podcast returns with another metal artist interview. Today we have Ben from Blackened Death Metalers Goatwhore back on the mic. Ben, we're so pleased to have you back on the Great Metal Debate.
Hell yeah, man. Pleased to be here.
So we're here in Louisville where Goatwhore's on their final night touring with the guys in Amon Amarth. How has the experience been touring the U.S. with Vikings?
It's been good. It actually hasn't been our first experience. This is like the fourth time we've toured with them, actually.
Wow.
The first time was in, I think it was around 2003. There was this tour. It was called The Art of Noise, but it was the second one of it. It's called Art of Noise 2. And it was Nile, I'm pretty sure it was Nile Creator, Vader, Amon Amarth, and us. And it was us, and Amon Amarth was second. So, through the years, watching Amon Amarth kind of grow.
I remember that lineup now. I'd forgotten that Amon Amarth and you were both on it, but I remember that was a good lineup. Yeah.
The first two bands usually nobody remembers because they get there later anyway. But we did that, and then we did Sounds of the Underground one year, and Amon Amarth was on it. And then we did a tour, and it was Skeleton Witch, us, and Amon Amarth. And now we have this. We were kind of discussing it the other day, actually, us and the guys in Amon Amarth. So we're like, yeah, remember the first time? And they were like, yeah. So, we have some background with the Vikings.
Nice to be on tour with people you're familiar with.
It's always good because everybody knows, we all I guess, used to each other. We all kind of know. They know what to expect from us in general. So everything kind of runs smoothly. And not just that. Their crew, all of them, they're really good guys, so there's no reason for shit to be whacked, I don't think I think in the last over 20 years I've been on tour, there's only really been one tour that I've been kind of like, it was like cringeworthy. But other than that, all the bands usually get along really well. Even if you're not even like you're touring with a band that you're really not into musically, usually members still get along in some sort of way. So
the stereotype of bands clashing behind the scenes isn't the norm.
They have that, but we've never really clashed much. Like I said, it was one tour. It wasn't a clash, but it was just kind of cringeworthy in a sense.
Tonight we're here at Mercury Ballroom. I know you guys have been through Louisville a number of times. Is this the first time you played Mercury?
Yeah, this is the first time we've been at this venue. It's pretty fucking nice, I have to say. A lot of the venues we played on this tour were pretty much our first time playing them. So, because we play usually smaller places, different little things. What's the Haymaker Whiskey Bar? Yes. We played behind there last time we were out here, too. And different little places, that Expo, I remember when we played
Expo
there.
5.
Yeah. We played out there. Used to play
like a flea market over there.
Yeah. We used to play like Uncle Pleasance and, all kinds of different fucking little places.
You sound like a local calling out all those names, man. That's amazing.
We remember them all, man. We did so many tours. We played Uncle Pleasance with Exodus, actually. That was pretty fucking crazy back in the day. So,
well, I understand you'll be playing to a sold-out hall tonight. Having seen you play before, I know you guys are going to give the same performance whether you're performing in front of 2,500 people or just 25 people. But does it still give you that extra little rush when you step out and it's a full hall?
Well, yeah, definitely it is. It's always a big thing when there's more people. But like you said, we even if there's 25 people, we still put all into it, no matter what. Because you don't want to, just because there's only 25 people at the show, you don't want to just give them like half the amount you would give a full audience, because they're going to leave and they're going to go talk about it. And if you give half-ass about it, then they're going to talk about it, And yeah, it might only be 25 people, but still, you want them leaving just as happy as 2,500 people. So it's definitely exhilarating when you go out there and the people are pumped and they're fucking ready. Especially like this. I like this tour too because, it's the fact it's only two bands. It's us and them. Where sometimes you have these tours and it's 5 bands. And usually by like the third and fourth band, the crowd's starting to get a little tired. There's too many bands. So then when the headliner goes on, it's not that much there anymore for the headliner because they had to go through all these fucking bands. And it's really cool that it's just us and them doing this. They give an hour between doors and when we start every single night. So there's enough time to get tons of fucking people in there, and all the shows have been packed, and it's been fucking awesome. And the feedback's been fucking great. And there's a lot of people we're playing in front of that we've never played in front of before, or have never heard of us before.
Given your old experience, that's a great thing to have access to new folks.
You know, like people would say, well, okay, y'all been doing it for like 20 years. You have your 7th record coming out, and people still don't know. Yeah, I mean, the metal scene's pretty vast, and, you know, it's got a lot of different things going on. And there's a lot of things that are coming out constantly. You know, people can't afford to keep up with every single fucking release that comes out, you know, so it's unique. Like every night, I kind of on stage, I ask, I go, how many people's first time either seeing us or hearing us, you know, and like tons of hands go up, and that's awesome. I think it creates something, you know, where some people would be like, well, damn, we've done this for 20 years, and this is what it's like, but it's not. It just goes to show you that there's still always more work and always stuff to be doing to keep things moving along and get people to know about what you're doing.
You're seeing it the glass half full, not half empty, man.
I always think the glass is half full. Even when I'm drinking whiskey, I think it's half full.
Well, man, last time we spoke was almost 2 years ago in Nashville, about a year after the release of Constricting Rage of the Merciless. And when I asked you how things have been going, you said very, very busy. Have you had some time, especially back in 2016, to relax and unwind just a little bit?
Yeah, I mean, we were focusing on the record, but it's different when you're home and you're working on stuff and you're getting all the ideas together and things like that. We don't really, when the record comes out and then we have that relentless touring cycle that we usually do, we don't really focus too much on writing. I mean, we'll have little things here and there. Everybody will kind of throw ideas around, but we really don't get into the grid of it until we have some open terrain where we're not touring to sit down with each other. Like first we get a break from each other, like a couple of weeks, and then we're like, all right, and we come back together, and then we start throwing around all these ideas and everything. Sammy starts sending riffs out to everybody, and we start, you know, discussing things and how, because, you know, Zach lives in Phoenix, so Sammy and Zach will kind of swap ideas and stuff like that, and they have, you know, thankfully since, you know, modern technology's in play, they both have like a studio program on a computer, and they can kind of sort that out. So then when Zach comes into town, we're kind of like ahead of the game. So you're not sitting there like sifting through riffs, trying to sort out how things are going to lay out. So, but definitely last year it was a little slower in that fact. I mean, we were still busy working on material, but it's different when you are home and you're working on it, and you can go home afterwards and do what you have to do, you know, and then go to the room and then go back home instead of being on a tour and be like, van, venue for the whole time. So, yeah.
Does it take a while to get out of that van venue process? I mean, does it take a while to unwind? Or
when I get home, I think, now since I'm getting a little older now, it gives me, like, I have a job when I'm at home, so sometimes I go back into it like a couple of days after I get back home, but it takes me like a week because of the time difference, like changing, like this is all late night shit, you know, you're finished with all of this stuff at 2 a.m., 3 a.m., 4 a.m., you know, depending. And then when I'm at home, it's like you're getting up at 6 a.m. and you're going to work at like 8 or something, like, you know.
That's like the complete opposite schedule, man.
Yeah, you have to flip it. So before, I used to do it, and it was, when I was younger, it was like nothing. But I noticed as I got a little older, I was like, oh yeah, it takes me a few more days. And now it's about like 5 days or so, and then I get back in the grain of it, you know. So there's a little shift there. It's expected.
Well, let's talk a bit about the new album, Vengeful Ascension, due out June 23rd. How long has the material for that been in development?
It's ever since, you know, we finished. Actually, there's a song on there that was being put together and written while we were doing Constricting Rage in the studio. So yeah, because like sometimes, you know, when you're in the studio, you wait for your turn in a sense. So it's like when it starts, the big focus is the drums, and the guitars is doing a scratch track guitar with the drums to get all the drums locked into place. And then after that, all the guitars are done, and then the bass is done, and then you go to the vocals. So there's downtimes for certain members depending on what's going on. So Sammy gets to a point and he's got downtime, so he sits on that computer with his guitar plugged into it and he starts throwing some ideas together. So there was actually a song that's on the new record that was being put together while he was in the studio when we were doing Constricting Rage of the Merciless. But also, when we write stuff, we have never thrown any riffs away. All the way back from the fucking first demo, Serenade to the Tides of Blood, all the way back from Eclipse of Ages into Black, the first CD. We still have riffs. They didn't quite fit, but we didn't toss them because the element of them somewhere else down the line might fit. And we've come to it numerous times where we're working on a song. All the riffs are brand new riffs, but for some reason, somewhere in the middle or somewhere near the end, things, you know, the cohesiveness doesn't flow properly. And then we find this old riff, and it like just falls into place like a puzzle piece, putting the whole thing together, and it just fits. So we don't throw anything away. So the element of writing goes all the way back, 20 years or so, because it's pieces that we'll use later on down the line. Some songs are written right there, 2 days, it's all new riffs, things like that. Some songs take a couple of weeks. Some songs have pieces and parts of all these songs that we might have wrote and we didn't like how it came out in the end, so we tore it apart and took pieces from it. So it's a variation through time in general.
Someone listening to your whole catalog is actually kind of picking up things through time as they hear those songs.
It's like, I guess some people might think that like a riff, if they never used it when you were writing that, it's completely dead. But we found that it can come back around and it can make something, to me, riffs are fucking timeless. I mean, look at a lot of the old heavy metal releases. They got some songs, that today they still stand up against modern stuff, So a riff can change a whole fucking thing in a song and how it makes it go together or how it begins or how it ends. So it's really important. So we've never thrown anything away. Sammy used to have all these tapes because we do anything on a little jam box, But yeah, we're old, so we used to do that. Jam box. So then we had all these tapes, and then we're like, then everything started to be a little bit more modern, computers, little studio programs and stuff, and we're like, we need to transfer all of these into a computer so we can have them, so we can look at them in a better way in like a grid, so we can kind of lay them out and see how things are. So I remember me and Sammy got together, and we would listen to the tape, and he goes, okay, I remember this one. It could be 10-year-old riff, but he's like, okay, yeah. And we would record it into the computer. So we didn't have to go back through the tapes, because we used to sit in a room, and we would call it fishing for riffs. And we just play the tape, and it'd be a riff, and then you hear like the stop, and then record again another riff. I'm like, oh, okay, take that riff, and let's take this other riff I heard 6 riffs back, and let's see what they do. So, we've evolved in that whole sense of writing.
Thank goodness for technology. You don't have to do that anymore.
Well, the writing process, I think it makes the writing process a hell of a lot easier. And then also because, some members don't live in New Orleans, it's easier to sort things out because then you can send stuff back and forth. Zach has a kit in Phoenix and he has a kit in New Orleans. So when he goes there, his kit's all mic'd up into this little software, and he can put drums over it and then send it back to Sammy, and Sammy will be like, oh shit, well I can do this different with the, so it helps. So like I said, when Zach comes in, we're ahead of the game and we're not sitting there going through stuff. We're already at a point and we can kind of move faster with it. So
now, Ben, you've expressed before that maybe the intensity of the band in the live setting hasn't always translated to your records. Did you try anything different this time around to try to catch more of that live feel on this album?
Well, we had our live engineer involved this time. We took a whole route different completely. We didn't use Eric Rutan this time, and there was no bad blood between us. We just all decided each member had their own little thing they wanted to do, and they wanted to do it a little different. So, we were kind of trying to weigh it out like, well, maybe we go to Eric Rutan and do these elements, and then we go to this other studio and do these elements. But then you start getting into financial things and how much money you have to spend and what you can do. And so we just, we sorted it out with our sound engineer. I mean, he doesn't just do live sound. He's done records, too. He did the last 1349 record. He did the last 2 Gruesome releases. He's doing the new Exhume record right now. I know he's going to be doing the new Wolfhammer coming up. So he's got experience in the studio. He's had experience in the studio. He wasn't just like, oh, I'm just this live engineer, But he has that skill, and he knows that element of what we sound like in the live set. Now, I don't feel like we'll ever be able to duplicate our live thing because that's an experience on its own. When fans come to see you play and you play in front of fans and the impact of that experience, you won't duplicate that. Unless you invite all your fans in the fucking studio and you play right there and record it on the spot. But someone like Jarrett knows the sound on a live setting, and he can kind of manipulate and put that into the recording. so we have more of a closer aspect of what we are as a live band.
It was a conscious effort this time around.
Yeah, no, it was. I mean, every time it's been a conscious effort, but this time it seems like more so. And then even having Jared involved, I mean, he was, he stepped up to the plate in a lot of different ways. He did a lot of different things, and I mean, he didn't even mix it. We had Chris Common mix it. It's a guy in El Paso, and he doesn't really do like metal records and stuff. He did like Pelican, Chelsea Wolf, different weird things, but we tried like 3 different people to mix, and we gave them all the same song, and then we picked the one we liked the best and went with that guy. But Jared went to the studio with him and was kind of there to kind of guide the effort, knowing what we were trying to do. So Jared was involved a lot during the whole experience, but so he did the tracking and everything when we were at the studio in Tolono, Illinois. And that studio, by the way, is awesome, Earth Analog. I definitely want to let people know that place is great. And it's actually owned by, you ever heard a band called Hum? It was like back in the day, they were kind of a little popular. Well, the guy Matt from Hum owns the studio and everything. It's this little small town, like about 20 minutes south of Champaign, Illinois. But it's awesome, and we did it on reel to reel, which is rare too, and which is kind of complicated. It makes days longer because it's always like this, like it's like holding a whole old car, Right. Some days it's fucking working golden, and some days it's giving you fucking mad issues, But you love it, you don't want to get rid of it. So we did that, and then, like I said, then we sent everything to Chris Common in El Paso, and Jared went out there for a few days to kind of guide him, and then he left, and then let him finish it up. And then once everything was set with that, we had it mastered by Mayor Applebaum, who's done like Judas Priest and some other people. We just went a whole different route this time, and I think, it's hit or miss. We did a lot of really good stuff with Rutan, and sometimes you're almost like, I guess you fall in a comfort zone and you don't want to step out because you're afraid the direction might shift too much. But I think sometimes you need to take that step. You need to take that little, leap of faith in a sort of sense, and just go with it. And everybody seemed comfortable with it, and everybody wanted to do something a little different on each of their parts, so we just went that route. And I think it worked out really fucking well, and I think, Jared did a great job. He was involved so much. It was really fucking cool how much he was involved and his impact. I remember doing the vocals, and he would stop and he'd come in the room and he goes, "Remember when you're playing live and you're like this?" He goes, "I understand there ain't people in here, but get in that fucking mindset." So he would put you. It was almost like your dad yelling at you about some shit, like a chore you had to do on the weekend.
Well, man, I've only heard the title track you guys have released. That as a video. To my ears, the track really emphasizes the melodic elements that I think have always been there in the Goatwhore sound, but sometimes the extreme elements, you don't pick up on it. Is that a fair take on that track?
Definitely. Well, I think what's cool about it is it's very unique. And it's more kind of, if you listen to it, it's more classical kind of metal stuff, more like earlier metal. And the cool thing, too, is it doesn't represent the entire album. I think every song on the album kind of has its own little element on the album. They're going to release 3 songs all the way up to the release date. When the next song drops, you're going to see a difference from that and the song Vengeful Ascension, and then when they release the next one, you'll see the difference. So there's a variation. But we've always had a sort of variation in the stuff that we write and the things, because we're really influenced by a lot of variations within extreme metal and heavy metal in general. But you'll see that, it's definitely that track doesn't represent the album entirely. It represents that little part of the record. So
it's a good part. I really enjoy it.
I think it's great, and we've been playing it live on this tour because we were when it dropped, we were holy shit, well, we're going to be on this tour. Maybe we should play it live, So we practiced it 9 times a day, every day until we fucking left for the tour because we were we need to get it down because we hadn't been playing it because we were doing we did the Metal Blade tour and we were playing older stuff. And so we were and that's what we're going to do. I think they're going to drop another song in a week or so or something like that. I'm not too fully sure, but we're going to try to do that song on the next one that we're doing in June. We're doing a little West Coast kind of run for about 3 weeks with Ancients from Vancouver. And I will probably add that song into the set as well.
Ben, I'm a big fan of album art, and the artwork for Vengeful Ascension is maybe your strongest ever, in my opinion. You guys work with Jordan Barlow. Can you describe how you all communicate to him, trying to get that visual element that represents the music?
Well, actually, he's really good at when For the last like 3 records that we did with him, you know, because he did Blood for the Master, he did Constricting, and he did the new one, and it's all different. Like the Blood for the Master and Constricting were more like woodcut kind of based art, really like solid black and white images and stuff like that. Where this one's a lot more depth and detail, but that just goes to show you like Jordan's ability as an artist and the eclectic style he has to do so many different variations. But he actually said it too. Before we ever did this record, he was like, on the next record, what do you guys think about doing something a little different? More of like maybe like an ink wash type picture or something something with shading, something a little bit more depth to it. And so we were like, yeah. And then, you know, me and Sammy sat down with him because we just kind of relay our ideas and we do little rough sketches and stuff like that and kind of explain stuff. And then we just kind of let him take off. And then he'll get in touch with us every few days or every week or other week. And he'll be like, so what do you think about this, and what are your thoughts on this while he's working on it? I think that piece took him like 40 hours, maybe 50 hours. And it's actually 3 feet tall and about 2 feet wide, the whole entire piece of it. I don't know if you've seen the entire, like...
Probably not, no. I've seen that.
Our cover is only like a quarter of the entire piece.
Are we seeing some of the rest of it in the background in the video?
Yeah, but... There's a lot to it. It's a lot to it. And it speaks for the title, too. You know, it's definitely intertwined with the title and everything like that, and the whole aspect of the record. But once the record comes out and people see it and you fold it all out, because, like, I know the CD, the whole thing folds out to the entire picture. And then on the record, on the vinyl, there's a poster in it of the whole thing that folds out as well. So, that, you know, you'll see that aspect. But it's cool because when we were doing it, we were like, fuck, there's a lot of detail in it. We didn't want to squash it down on a CD cover. And then we're like, well, we just make a piece of it that's interesting, but then when it unfolds, it's like it tells this fucking entire story. But yeah, he did. It was amazing, the work he did on it, man. And it's funny, I used to work at a frame shop, and right now the piece is at my house because I need to get some time and put it in a frame for him. Because he was like, he keeps all the original stuff. So we're going to get it in a frame for him and everything, so he has it. But it's sweet. It's definitely sweet. When you see the real thing in person, it's just like, holy fuck. You know, like, people are looking and they're like, holy shit, there's like little people climbing up the inside of that. It's like, yeah, dude, it's like a lot of depth to it, you know?
Very careful. People are going to be coming by your house trying to find it.
The thing is you know, we don't just say, yeah, Jordan, do this. I mean, he wants descriptive shit. So we have to go and add. And then, like, I'll give him descriptive stuff, and he goes, well, okay, I need a little bit more. And you think you've given him a lot, but, you know, you give him some more and some more. But that's what's like the catalyst to get him to go further. Because the more descriptive stuff and the more element to it, when you discuss it with him, his mind just takes off into it and just goes further.
Well, Ben, starting to wrap up with you've already mentioned the tour in June with Ancients, and I know after a little respite from Amon Amarth, you guys are going to do Fort Worth Metal Fest. Do you have any other plans for 2017 past that?
Yeah, I mean, we got stuff that's going to happen later this year. We have a tour that we're going to do in September, but we can't reveal the details in it. But it will be pretty much all of September and pretty much all of North America. And it's really fucking cool, but we can't. We're open and we're supporting someone on a higher level, but it's a really cool fucking tour. So, and then we're working on things for Europe for later in the year, and I'm sure everything will unfold and keep going into 2018 as well. I'm sure we got like a good 2 years of, you know, being back out on the road again after all this.
You'll be out with Ancients when the album drops?
Yeah, we'll be out with Ancients when that happens.
There'll be some good shows to catch. Finally, Ben, how can fans learn more about Goatwhore, and where can they go to purchase music and merchandise, in particular, the new album about to come out, Vengeful Ascension?
Let's see. The internet has got so much shit on it. So
Can they pre-order?
Yeah, you can pre-order. You can. They got pre-order bundles and stuff like that. If you go to goatwhore.net, that's like our basic site, and all that is just like links to like merchandise, to web stores, to tour dates, to social media. So it's just basically like the portal, and then you go there, and it's got all the links for everything else that you pretty much need to know. But I think Metal Blade has a part of their site. It's metalblade.com/Goatwhore. I'm pretty sure.
There's a band link, and it'll take you right.
And it's to a little thing to check out all the different variations of pre-orders. Like we have this bundle, and it has like this like spell book thing with a candle, and the vinyl colors are fucking really cool. So yeah, we got some cool things in there. So,
people want to spend money, they can do it.
Yeah. There's a lot of places to spend the money, man. But from what I saw, a lot of the things, like I know one of the colors of the vinyl sold out already. So there's a lot of different stuff going on. So things are going pretty quick. And like actually on this tour, we're selling a shirt. It comes with a laminate. And I mean, after this tour, it's done. We had it on the Metal Blade tour. We sold it when we were at home online. And now we had it out on this tour, and it was an exclusive shirt that we just did of some of the art, and it comes with the laminate. It was like $25, and you got the shirt and the laminate has a code, and you go to the Metal Blade site, you put in your address and the code, and they ship you the CD a week before it comes out. You know, so tonight's the last night pretty much for that. So it's like a little different exclusive thing, and the shirt you won't be able to get ever again after that.
You guys give some incentives sometimes, though, from speakers live.
We grew up in an era where there was a lot of limited, really cool shit. You know, shit that some of us got, some of it we didn't get. You know, that we wish we got. So, you know, people dig that stuff when they have unique things like that. You know, and I think too, it's like a bonus for people that go out of their way and they come out to the shows and they support shit. So,
well, Ben, I'm never disappointed when I come out to see you guys. I know I won't be disappointed tonight. Looking forward to you guys destroying on stage, and best of luck going forward.
Awesome. Thank you very much, man.